Hello, my name is Samaria Kelly, and this is my presentation for the wrongful conviction of Debbie Lovelace. Here is the agenda for what we will go over in this presentation. And let's get started. Here's the facts and the timeline of the case. So on January 4th, 1989, which is Debbie Lovelace's daughter, April was found by paramedics and she was wrapped in a blanket. She was airlifted to a hospital where she died during surgery. Lovelace claims that she was attacked by a wild dog. On January 17th, Lovelace and her common law married husband, Harvey Miller, they were both arrested on just a felony charge of injury to child, which later escalated to murder. And then on October 31st, 1989, Lovelace and Miller, they went to trial for the murder of Lovelace's daughter, April, and the prosecution was alleging that April was beaten and that it was a case of child abuse. And on November 5th, 1989, Lovelace was convicted of murder, sentenced to life in prison. In December of 1990, the attorneys filed an appeal, which was at first rejected, but obviously after some work, they were able to file a petition for writ of habeas corpus on April 3rd, 1993, and Lovelace and Miller were both released. So the issues in this case include false or misleading forensic evidence, official misconduct, and inadequate legal defense. The false or misleading forensic evidence was that there was autopsy photos from the emergency room that were withheld from the defense. And those photos could have served as evidence that there was a dog attack because prosecution was alleging that there was not an attack. And then in the medical report, they also alleged that during surgery, a part of April was cut clean with a scalpel. And during the actual trial, prosecution was alleging that Lovelace and Miller were the ones who caused that cut, that clean cut. And that's why they were alleging that it was abuse. So that was the false or misleading forensic evidence. The official misconduct was how they didn't turn over the autopsy photos and the medical report, which would have helped the defense's case in the fact that there was a dog attack, but the defense actually did not dig further into the dog attack, and that's why I believe there was also an adequate legal defense. Because if my client were to say that they were attacked by a dog, I'm going to look into anything that I can to see if that was true. But I believe that if they were handed over, as according to the legal process, then it would have been less of an inadequate legal defense. Now, the type of law that surrounds this case is going to be state law. They were charged with state crimes. It was the state of Texas versus Lovelace in the murder. And then these are the penal codes that's for what they were charged with. So the felony injury to child, and then the murder charge that it was eventually escalated to. And then the school of jurisprudence that I would connect it to would be critical legal studies, because critical legal studies is a way that we analyze and address the failings of a legal system. And I think that all of these issues, by addressing all of these issues, you can seek to promote a more just and equitable legal system. And that's exactly what critical legal studies wants and is looking to achieve. So that's why I would connect it to that. The socio-legal perspective that I would connect it to would be to Emil Durkheim, mostly because Emil was obsessed with social solidarity. He believed that law reflects the shared values of society, that law promotes social cohesion. And when you critique these issues, such as misconduct, as inadequate legal defense, and false misleading evidence, it all disobeys that trust that Emil believes that society shares and that it weakens that society. And he would be a leading critique of those issues, and he would believe that they would need to be addressed. So he would stand firm with the decision to release Lovelace. And then for the critique of law that I was noticing was two types of critiques of law, actually. The radical critique, mostly because the issues in this case relate to that, due to the systemic inequalities that these issues perpetuate. Um, the radical critique of law seeks to challenge rather than accept those social norms. So it's wanting to look for those inequalities and make changes to them. But I also think that you could look at it from the internal critique of law, and that there are structural issues that need to be addressed within the profession and study of law itself. There, those are structural things within the process of um, how things could have gone the way they did that could be addressed, and it takes people from the inside to address those and correct those. And thank you so much for watching my presentation. I hope you enjoyed.